Everyone, here we are at Naples Money Managers for the NMN Financial News You Can Use. It is April 13th, I got it right this time, 2020. We're going to try and keep this as short as we did last time, which was under 10 minutes if possible. We've learned that some of you don't listen more than 5 minutes, so we're going to put some tips at the end just to see if we can get you to listen a little bit longer. But so we'll have some tips at the end, and I wanted to let everyone know this is unedited, unrehearsed. I'm sure you can tell that, but just in case, I thought I'd let everybody know we don't sit here and practice. One thing I want to talk to you about today is, can you handle things go really bad, disaster planning? I call that going to hell in a handbasket. Do you have that place where you can go? I think it's important that you all think about it, no matter how old you are. Maybe you can move back in with your parents. Maybe you can move in with your grandparents. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're just going to cut back. But everybody should know where they can go if things get really bad. Make sure your handbasket, though, can not be melted in the molten lava. So make sure it's a good, solid place for you to go to. Once you know that you're going to be okay, the rest of this is going to be a piece of cake. Let me tell you, we all know that we've been through this. So we're still social distancing. So I'm going to introduce Dennis Nelson, who's going to talk a little bit about banks and some other things in the portfolio. After that, we'll have John Kincaid come back up. He's going to talk about our double income strategy again. Marcus will then come up with the tips of the day, and we are now going to entertain questions. So if you have something you want to know about, either email it to us, call us, whatever you like to do, but you can email us best, and we'll air it on next Monday. So for now, I'm going to turn it over to Dennis Nelson. If he walks over this way, he's in the green room. Okay, here you are. Come on over, Dennis.
Thank you, Dawn. Well, here we are again, Monday morning, with our Monday morning news you can use. Big picture-wise, before we get to the banks, it just seems like what's been going on is a real acceleration of trends that have been going on for quite a while already. To get basic on that, it is being able to work, shop, and do everything that you have to do in your daily life from home. And the internet is the vehicle that allows that to happen. So you, for instance, Amazon, of course, the big name in that arena is almost back to its all-time highs. Shopify, another one. But the low-tech type stocks like Chewy dog food came out here a couple months ago at around 38, 39, went down to 25 or so, then the virus hit. And now it's up to in the 40s. This is, and they've got a market that's not gonna go away. They're getting used to using the internet to order their dog food. They're gonna keep doing it. But to get to the banks have been pummeled to the point they just look so cheap. Cheap from a book value way. You're looking at Goldman Sachs trades at 60 cents for every dollar of book value. Even the big one in the industry, JP Morgan, is trading at $1.20 for every dollar of book value. That is just cheap. So how can you use this? Well, maybe what you do if you own JP Morgan, for instance, you sell the JP Morgan, nobody's got a profit in it, take a loss, book a loss, and buy another bank. I like Goldman Sachs. They're more of a commercial banker than a retail banker, but I think that they're probably one great buy right now. And you've reestablished a lower base. You've taken and booked a loss that you can use against future profits.
Dennis, doesn't Goldman Sachs have a special loan division, like it's called Marcus?
Well, they do have a division named Marcus. I'm not really familiar with it, but apparently they do retail type loans to individuals and small businesses.
And they don't charge a fee.
And don't charge a fee. That's the big one. They just charge an interest rate.
And I have one more question for you. For small businesses trying to get loans at these banks, what's going on?
I don't know what's going on. From what what it sounds like is that the banks are applying their own criteria. Despite the fact that the government wants them to push these loans through without doing research, we'll figure it out later type of approach. The banks are still doing their own qualifications through their own lending criteria.
So the reality is,
defeating the purpose.
well, yeah, the reality is most of these small companies aren't great credit risks anyway. They're not going to pass that kind of criteria test. And the government is saying, give them the monies.
Give them the money, and that seems to be a big holdup right now. Hopefully that'll get cleared away pretty quick.
All right.
So I'll turn this over to John. John?
Thank you, Dennis.
Good to be here this morning. For the last 8 months to a year, since I reach out to the community and look for prospective investors for the firm, I went back and I thought to myself, how well is the Naples Money Managers doing as far as performance in the portfolio? Now, you may not think about that all the time, but here we do. We want to make sure that what we produce, the results are absolutely stellar. So this is what I did. There's a platform called Zephyr out there, and all the brokers, financial advisors look to this Zephyr program to look at all the metrics and performance history from single managers, which we are one. So what I did is I looked for all managers on this Zephyr platform that do covered call writing. Now, you know our portfolio is Mapato, but technically it's a covered call program, and I found 14 managers. What I did next is I then filtered for any managers that are skewed in the way they manage the covered call portfolio that's not the mainstream or the way that we do that. And that got rid of 4 managers. That brought us down to 10. The next criteria that I used was I wanted to make sure, like the Naples Money Managers, that we had a long tenured manager, the person or the people managing our portfolio. So ours goes back 20 years for our portfolio. I got rid of 2 more managers that had very short tenure. The manager could have been there 2 years. I also used a filter for a very short track record, 2 to 5 years in the business. And that brought us down to 2 managers nationally that do what we do. So then I was really interested. I thought, well, how do we stack up against this other manager, because we were one of the 2. So what I did is I ran a performance data. Now this data is all compiled by Zephyr, and every advisor anywhere in the world can look at these numbers and make decisions. So that's exactly what I did. I looked at the numbers and I found that over the last 20 years, almost 20 for us, in another 6 or 8 months, it will be 20 years of metrics or performance history on the Mapato portfolio. And I found that our return net of expenses was almost 8%, about 7.45. The other manager had managed at a little bit under 7. So what that means is that the Naples Money Managers, in my research, shows that we have the longest track record, the longest manager tenure, and been in the business of covered call writing the longest, and have the highest rate of return net of fees according to this system. I thought that was awesome. Just wanted to share.
John, that's great. And the portfolio, well, we know it's more stable, we have a long track record. How does that help our clients who need income? Because I've heard that they think that more than 50% of the stocks out there are going to cut their dividends by 2021.
That's a great point. Where managers start with this is they say, let's buy dividend companies and sell calls for income. We call that a double income stream, and it literally is, and we track that also. The important thing is that not all managers manage in a dynamic way. Let me tell you what that means. Quickly, what that means is most people, because the benchmark for us is the CBOE buy right benchmark. That's another whole story, but that's what we look at when we manage. A lot of managers will manage real differently to get more growth. So what we do here at the Naples Money Managers is we manage for two components, dividends plus premiums from the options. And that's where we get huge cash flow that you can't find in just dividend stocks alone.
That's great, John. And now we're gonna bring on Marcus Bickle, trying to move this along. I'm not sure how we're doing on time, Marcus, but
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in our portfolios, which dovetails nicely into what John just spoke about. So our portfolio that we currently have, we like. We like our stocks. We have good dividend paying that we don't expect to suspend their dividend. Things like Procter & Gamble, Microsoft, good quality companies with, frankly, big stockpiles of money. And that's kind of important right now. Do they have the kind of cash flow to see through this without needing things like government bailouts? I mentioned Procter & Gamble. That's another one. We currently own it, but we're going to buy more of it. Typically, in our portfolios, we start with a 2.5% position of the total portfolio. And that gives us the room to bring it up to a 5% if we really like that. We're seeing a lot of that right now. The stocks that we have done well, have really held their ground in this. We're going to buy some more of them as the market moves back up.
Marcus, we've gained quite a bit of the losses already this year. Our model portfolio is only down, what,
We were down 15%, I think, as of
No, we're down 9.
9. Actually,
9.13.
Thank you.
9.13. So we've
9.13.
already done a lot of recovering.
We absolutely have. Our double income strategy really does help for that because we're able to not only pick up the dividends, but get the positive cash flow from our premiums from writing those covered calls. And that's really helped boost up a lot of the losses that we incurred when the market fell like it did.
So we had a question from one of our viewers, which we're going to be doing from now on, and maybe you could address that.
Absolutely. I've had a lot of people ask about 5G technology. It seems like it's everywhere nowadays. You hear about it on the news, on the internet, and it really is the future. But how are we going to get there? Who's going to benefit from that? That's a big question. There's a lot of players in it. Everyone from Apple to Comcast have a vested interest in 5G technology, and not just our American companies.
What's 5G mean?
It speaks to the 5 gigahertz, which is the amount of data that would be transferred over a line. That could mean the internet, telephone line, things like that. And it's actually faster than human touch. It's kind of the neat thing. So when you reach out and you touch something, that feeling right there, it's faster than that. From your finger to your brain, it's supposed to be faster. And it's going to open up a whole world of possibilities for technologies that we don't even really see yet. But who is going to benefit from that? And like I said, that's a really tricky question because everybody, like I said, Apple, Huawei, who's in the news a lot, Comcast, everybody wants to get in on this. But if you want to look at something that might be a good play, look at things like component makers. People are going to have to update their technologies. There's various people who make Ethernet adapters and other components that are really integral to this, and most people have not updated their systems for 5G. So we should see a spike in that arena.
All right, so but his question was, should he buy certain various stocks, right? Which we're not going to say yes or no to, but what was your thought on those specific stocks? Stay away from them or look into them further? What was your thoughts?
Again, the stocks that were mentioned, one of them being Marvell, it's a good company. They're well positioned to take advantage of this. Will they be the clear winner? That is yet to be seen. But they do make good components that will be used to update 5G technology.
All right, thanks, Marcus.
Thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
And here I am, back to, how about that? Back to close out our little segment here this morning. I think we went a little long. It's tough when there's 4 of us here. There won't always be 4 of us, but we hope we'll be doing this every Monday going forward. These drops that we've had, even the most seasoned investors that have seen this for the last 30, 40 years, like Dennis and I have, and John, makes all of us a little weak in the knees. But I think the key thing is, especially for the young people, you cannot let what's going on right now with the virus in the market define you for the rest of your life. Long-term investing is still the way to go. Put your money in there every week like you always have been, if you have it to do, and don't look at it. I know that sounds simple, too simple, but it really, really works, and we can prove it over and over again. So don't let that define you in the future. Retirees, again, I want you to think about, is your income right? If it is, sit tight. If it's not, let's get it right. That's really important. Income, you don't want to spend your principal. As Will Rogers said, what is it? I'm more concerned about the return of my principal than the return on my principal. So when it's all is said, at the end of the day, you want your principal to still be there, even after you've taken your income. That is absolutely crucial, and that's what we've done over the last 32 years here in this company. Finally, I want you to remember our charities one more time. I mentioned them last time, but the IRS was giving everyone the right to deduct $300 to a charity, no matter if you itemize or if you don't itemize. So if you can do that, I want you to think about 2 charities this week. The Naples Therapeutic Riding Center still has to feed their horses, take care of their horses. They can't just close the doors. Horses have to be taken care of. So the Virginia Toolman Foundation has offered a matching grant of $50,000. So anybody who can help out the NTRC there, that would be great. Then we also mentioned the Collier County 100 Club last time, and this is the organization that responds first to the first responders when the first responders are in need, gets them the cash they need. So with that, I'm going to close this all out. I hope to see you all again next Monday. If you have questions, be sure to send them in. Take care.